Yeah, good evening, Baruchim Habayim Rabotai. Welcome to another edition of our Thursday night's class. Tonight is the last class until after holiday season, so that means next week is Leil Bdikat Chametz. We have a mitzvah to do. And the following week also Chol HaMoed is, it's the last day of Pesach. So we're going to have 2 weeks off. So Hashem should give us Yad D'Shmaya that we should have new Chidushim tonight. Keneged the 2 weeks that we won't be here. I begin by saying that I saw an ad from one of the Brooklyn grocery stores, which caught my eye. I don't pay much attention to ads in magazines, even Orthodox ones, but this one caught my eye. And it was a list of bragging about how you could be Pesach somewhere where any chumrah you want, anything you're into, they got. You know, all year in halacha we know koach de'etera adifa. If we have a way to be lenient, then we try to be lenient for people. When it comes to Pesach, the poskim bring down an interesting thing, that if somebody has a chumrah or a minhag, even if it's not really so applicable anymore today, and maybe in other circumstances we would laugh at it as a minhag shtut, when it comes to Pesach, we respect everybody's customs and everybody's things, because at the end of the day, chumrat mitzvat Pesach and the Yisur Chametz. So if somebody wants to take it a step further, so we give them a special respect for that. We don't mix into other people's customs. So there's no end to customs, right? We're Sephardic Jews. We pretty much eat everything. Ashkenaz Jewry fast. They eat meat and potatoes in different forms. Meat with this, potatoes with that. But it's amazing how many different ways you can make potatoes. I have a friend of mine who has a little bit too much of a sense of humor. He's a professional chef in his expertise, non-Jew. He put out a cookbook recently for the Jewish community for Passover, 101 ways to cook potatoes. I guess his clientele comes from Europe. But at the same time, we have a certain respect. There is a Tiferet Yisrael that says a very interesting thing. And we can't associate with this because in today's generation there's such a shefa that we don't know what this means. But where he lived, food wasn't a common thing. And to have a wholesome meal definitely wasn't common. So he writes, and of course l'halacha we don't do this, that instead of saying adama on a potato, you have to make borei minei mizonot. That's what he writes. What do you mean? It's not, clearly in halacha it's not like that. So he says, because we owe a special hakarat hatov to potatoes. It seems like where he lived it was cold and very few vegetables and fruits grew. And potatoes was cheap also, and it grew easily in all climates. And as a result, that was the majority of the food they ate year-round, kal v'chomer Pesach. So he felt that there was a special thing that a person has to, like a special respect to this thing, that it's an interesting Tiferet Yisrael. So this Brooklyn store puts out this ad, but I didn't know it was a store when I read it. It looked like a hotel ad, with the scenery and everything. Any chumrah you want, we got for you. And it starts listing different things. And on the bottom it says, stay at home and buy food based on what you keep and stick to that. And on that, Rabbi Scheinfeld once said a good line, one Pesach that I was a newlywed. The first year, Leila said that was by my father-in-law. As it says in Dina Digmara, the first year you go to the wife's side for the Seder. Believe it or not, yeah, that's what it says in the Gemara. And I went to Rabbi Scheinfeld to hear him speak the first night. He speaks B'chesed Elyon. And when he spoke, he said he wants to wish people a little bit late 2 things. To those who are at home for Pesach, they should have a Chag Sameach. And to those who are not home for Pesach, they should have a Chag Kasher. They should be lucky, it should be a kosher holiday. Unbelievable, as he said in the sharp thing, a sharp line from Rabbi Scheinfeld. I'm not knocking Chas v'Shalom, Yisrael Kedoshim, everybody means well, and for some people it's better that they should go to these places, because otherwise they don't know the halachot, and what would they do at home? But it's an interesting holiday. And it's a holiday that, believe it or not, it's not like Kippur that almost 100% the Klal Yisrael keeps, but very high percentages, I don't know if they keep it halachically, but based on their knowledge, whatever they know, they keep. It's an amazing thing. It's a mind-boggling thing. Last night I got home very late after being away during the week, and I said, you need some sort of contribution to Pesach. You got to do something for the house, right? And I decided to go shopping. That I know how to do. Clean, I'm not so good at. But shopping, I know how to do. So I went to a store in Lakewood. I would say the name, but I'm just not into advertising for stores. And when I went there, it was late, very late. They're open late before Pesach. And I hear a whole bunch of people talking Hebrew. I was busy with my thing, but I hear the Hebrew, it stood out. And in Lakewood, we have Israelis, but very few. I turn around and I see a huge group of Israelis. Men, women, youngsters. And at least externally, they don't look like Rabbi Kanievsky, Alei Shalom, Shibadlu L'chaim Tovim. And I decided that maybe it's an opportunity to get to know my neighbors. So I said hello to them and asked them where they live. An amazing thing. They live an hour and 40 minutes away from Lakewood. So I said, so what are you doing here? You don't have any grocery store near your house? Like, what'd you come here for? So one of them told me in Hebrew, we don't know anything about the laws of Pesach and what's good and what's not good and what to do with that. We don't know anything about that. But at home, our parents kept, and we want to keep also. So we Googled where there's a Haredi city. This was the closest Haredi city near us, and we came here to do our shopping, because if you guys, he tells me, buy here, so obviously this is the place to buy. What was the ness involved in this story? You see how when you're nice to somebody, Hashem sends you mitzvah, goreret mitzvah. I was schmoozing with them, it was election week in Israel. We were able to have a lot of entertainment, by the Israelis, even if they're living here 40 years, elections as if the elections happened to them. So we started talking, and while we're talking, I'm looking at their wagons. And I see in their wagons a lot of items that are not kosher for Passover. These people with their naiveness thought that in the Haredi city before Pesach, the grocery store is all kosher for Pesach. So they went just filling up whatever it is. And not knowing that, there's the Pesach section, but the majority is regular year-round. And when I told it to them, one of the guys came over to me and gave me a hug. The guy doesn't know me. He says, you saved me. I drove all the way here and I would have not kept Pesach? Unbelievable thing. I thought it was a big Kiddush Hashem. You know what that does in Shamayim? You know what Kosh Baruch Hu says when he sees his kids like that? Here's a guy who knows if he keeps anything besides for Yom Kippur. He's going to drive an hour and 40 minutes with his wife and his kids, his friends and their wives and kids, late at night, to go shopping naively in the Haredi town, because over there he's going to find what's kosher, what he remembers from his father, his grandfather, whatever generations ago. And maybe that's why the Seder is called Seder. Seder means organized. Chazal say, Laila shum sadrim bo dvarim harbeh. A night that everything has a certain system. The system of four. If you remember the last year before Pesach, we gave a shiur called that, the system of four. Right? The 4 cups, we have a 5th, but the 4 that we drink. And many other things. There are the 4 sons, the 4 questions. There are a lot of things that revolve around 4. There's big sodot in this when it comes to Pesach. Refer to last year's Erev Pesach shiur, and you can learn a lot of interesting things there. But in the Sifrei Hasidut, which is really a quote from the Sifrei Kabbalah, it says an unbelievable thing. This is my Pesach gift to you. Laila shemisadrim bo dvarim harbeh is a night that you can organize a lot of things in Shamayim. If a person has different situations in his life, and he needs different yeshurot in his life, Alila Seder, Hashem says, Laila shemisadrim bo dvarim harbeh. It's a night that you can organize your situation in heaven, that things should start working out in a better way for you, even in a way that you see as a better way for you. Unbelievable thing. It's Yadua. The one who made it famous is Rav Biderman. He didn't say a source, so I'm assuming he's the source. But he has countless stories, and he's very careful with his stories, so you know they're legitimate. It's not the storybooks that sometimes you have to question. That this is very hard to do, so I don't know if anybody's up to it. But if after the whole Seder, you still have strength, and you could sit down and read a whole Sefer Tehillim beginning to end. He says over there, he has a whole speech about this, story after story after story. The Nisim Gluyim that people saw, literally things that, even about the Baba Sali, I don't know if they wrote such more Nisim. Things that make no sense. Now, most people to read a Sefer Tehillim, even if you read it very frequently, takes at least an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes at least. Others that don't read the Tehillim frequently will probably take 3 hours, maybe longer even. And after the Seder, everybody's already tired. and intoxicated because Dalit Koises or Moshe writes you have to drink wine, grape juice doesn't work. That's even if you hold grape juice works for other things, but for Dalit Koises for sure not. There's no cherut in that. If you went to a wedding and by the bar they served grape juice, you would come out of the wedding and say, what's wrong with these people? Because there's no enjoyment in that, there's no nothing in that. What's grape juice? Besides the fact that today grape juice is from concentrate, except for Rav Zalman, my Yeshiva, and Minchat Shlomo, in Od Zayin, almost all the other poskim hold that it's shakal at all. It's not even a geffen, even though they write kasher lekiddush v'arba kosot. Maybe they mean midin chamal medina, but be'etzim al pi halacha stam it's not like that. And Rabbi Yashiv, I have it on a recording, said that to me clearly, and not only that, he added on to that. He said that Chazal say that in a kosher kiddush, kosher bacha especially, all different blessings that come along with it. And he says, we don't see those blessings happen today. Kosher bacha, for example, is a refuah, brings health to people. Today we see sickness like crazy, it's out of control. So what's going on over here? So he says because they use grape juice. And that's not what the mitzvah is, and over there the bracha doesn't lie anymore, so they lose the mile of the bracha. So I have it on recording from Rabbi Yashiv's itself, again Alein. So Dalit Kosot, even Moshe Feinstein, the author of America, clearly says there's an inyan of cherut. So you have to. So let's say a person's not capable of drinking wine. So first of all, today they make wine 3%, 2%, 5%. There's no excuse. But even if that's not the case, so at least mix the grape juice with wine. So at least according to Moshe, you gain the cherut. You know, at least that much everybody could do to put a little bit of wine in it. But after 4 cups and matzah and this and a meal and working a month before Pesach to have a house for Pesach and to cook, and who has strength to read a Sefer Tehillim? So I found a patent, an eitzah, and we tried this one year, and I want to tell you, I saw it works clearly. That normally by the Seder, right, we keep the halacha, they have to have guests, so there's a lot of people there. Take the Sefer Tehillim, divide it by the people. Each person should read 10 prakim, 5 prakim, 30 prakim, 20 prakim. And if you're not in a place that has people that can do it, so do it Erev Yom Tov, plan it with your friends. Send a group message to your friends. Who commits tonight after the Seder to read 10 chapters of Tehillim? 15 people, you have the Tehillim covered. And it also works. That's what we did in our family, and we saw Nisim G'delim, big things. That's my gift for you for Pesach. We ain't the Sgulas, right? Ve'item am Sgula mikol ha'amim. We like Sgulot. So you got a Sgula out of me. There you go, for the Seder. But this has sourced. It's sourced already over 1,000 years ago. Laila shemisadrim bo dvarim arbe. It's a night, not that quote, that's from before that even. But it's a night in Shamayim a person can really turn his life around, spiritually. Materialistically as well, but spiritually, turn his life around. Unbelievable thing. Bifrat b'inyan refuah, how many people in Klal Yisrael are not well, Hashem Yirachem. And of course, this is an ultra-sensitive subject to me for biased reasons. Not that it shouldn't be like that. Every Jew is the same. But when us students are still praying around the clock in rotations that our Rebbe should be able to come home before the Seder, Be'ez Hashem, and do the Seder with his family and not in a hospital. And Hashem should send his sicknesses to Sonei Yisrael, and there's enough for them to send it to. So no matter how not well he is, there's enough to deserve it. So we could split it between them. Let each one take a different one of his problems, and he should come home for the Seder happy and healthy. And the same thing with many other Cholei Yisrael. They just mentioned to me another lady, though Elena was diagnosed with leukemia, that her son comes here to the Shia sometimes. Hers as well. And all the Cholei Yisrael, they should all go Be'ez Hashem to Sonei Yisrael. Right? We learned this by Rosh Hashanah time. Shuvat Tfilah U'Tzedakah Ma'avirim et Ruach Gzera. It doesn't say Mevatlim, cancels. It says Ma'avirim, it transfers. Why? So the Maharal writes, if God put a bad decree in the world, let's say made somebody sick, so why should we cancel it? That's a waste. Let's transfer it to somebody who hates it. We'll gain 2 for the price of 1. It's much better that way. That's why Chazal say, Ma'avirim et Ruach Gzera. We transfer it. We don't cancel the sickness. Take it from him and we put it on one of the Sonei Yisrael. And it's Yadua. Last week we said the whole Shia was a story for Moshe. This week I have another story for Moshe. Moshe Feinstein, I heard this from the person that was in the room with him at that time. At one point he had a certain illness and he was in the hospital and it wasn't looking good. The doctor walked in, gave him some bad news, whatever it was. And there was a certain guy that was a Sonei Yisrael that was known, that was on the staff over there, whatever. And he asked this gentleman who told me the story himself, he's not a youngster anymore, Shibadel Chaim Tovim, to call that guy in. And they called him in, and Moshe said, Ze Khalifati, Ze Tmurati, Ze Kaparati. And that was the end of that guy, and Moshe was healthy and went home a day later. Unbelievable story. That's Ma'avirim et Roa Gzeira. He transferred the Gzeira to Sonei Yisrael. Transferred the Gzeira to Sonei Yisrael. It's a pellet. That's really the whole Yisod of Yitziat Mitzrayim. Because Baruch Hu made Kriyat Yam Suf. There was many ways to take the Jews out. He could have sent them boats. Cruise ship. Many cruise ships. Better than the Titanic. Why did it make such a nace that the water splits, and not only that water, the water of the world? Shamu Amim Yilgazu. Again, it was the same Pchina, it says in the Sfarim HaKadoshim. The Ramchal talks about this. That it was Ma'avirim et Roa Gzeira. Klal Yisrael had a Gzeira, Alalo Ovdei Avodah Zarah, Alalo Ovdei Avodah Zarah. And really, they could have drowned. Hashem said, we're going to take the Gzeira off, and we're going to put it on somebody else. And who? On the ones who oppressed you. So he split the sea, not for the Jews to go out. To get the Jews out, there were many ways to do it. For the others to drown in the sea afterwards. So it should be midah keneged midah. Paro wanted to go and throw the Jewish children in the water and they should drown. So Moshe Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu, was a shliach Hashem to split the water to drown everybody. According to Chazal, maybe not Paro because he did tshuva, but at least the others that were part of this plot. And we clearly see this in every aspect, and it's a very, very powerful thing. But in order to tap into powers, you have to have, we spoke about this a few times lately, the key to get into the powers. So tonight I want to discuss two of the keys to get into these powers of Leil HaSeder. One is based on an unbelievable sharp story from Moshe Feinstein itself. Moshe in Tiferet Yerushalayim had a student that was learning very well. Many students learned very well, but we're talking about one specific one. And when he graduated, was about to graduate 12th grade, he wanted to go to college. Moshe felt that this guy could be a big posek, a big gadol hador later on, which by the way he became. And he wanted him to continue in yeshiva. So he went to the boy and he spoke to him. And the boy said that he wants to continue in yeshiva. That's not the subject. His parents don't let him. Parents don't let him. So first of all, it clearly says in Shulchan Aruch, there's no kibbud av in that. If you want to sit and learn, and your father says no, so be it. You could sit and learn. There's no such thing as kibbud av in that. And no, I'm not getting into whether people should go to college or not. That's an individual question for each person. And in today's generation, many people have to go to college. Api halacha could be, and whatever. That's not the subject. But here's a boy who Moshe himself felt could be a gadol hador. He definitely doesn't belong in college, and his parents are stopping. Moshe saw that didn't believe in fights, so he wanted to do it the nice way. So he figured he's a gadol hador. He's going to call the parents down. He'll speak to them and he'll influence them. So he called the parents down. Father and mother came in, very nice people. And they told him, listen, Rabbi, we gave you our son for 12 years, from first grade through 12th grade. And now it's time he should get a career. How's he going to pay his bills afterwards? How's he going to pay his bills afterwards? The father forgot that Moshe only had high school, 4 years. But he was in yeshiva from before if he got into Moshe's high school. That means he was from first grade on, or it's maybe more than 12 years with pre-K and all the other ones. But how's it going to happen? So he forgot that in Chazal it says, Aaron nosei et nosav, that if you learn, you support the world, not vice versa. Right? But he didn't have that level of emunah. So Moshe told him, I hear, but you still can't take your son to college. So he said, why not? He said, because the Gemara teaches us in Nida Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, that Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph, that a person is not alone. He's born 3 partners, his father, his mother, and God. When you have a partnership, you can't just do what you want. And Borei Olam wants him to go to yeshiva. One of the partners wants him to be in yeshiva, so you can't take him to college. You have to leave him in yeshiva. This father, instead of conceding to Rav Moshe like a normal person would have done, thought in Yiddish it's called an Eibechuchem. He thought he was smarter than Rav Moshe. So he told Rav Moshe, you're talking to me about the laws of partnership? I also learned in yeshiva. I know Hilchot Shutfim very well. And if there's 3 partners in something and there's a dispute, you take a vote. And what the majority of the partners say, that's what you do. So the father, the mother, L'avdil Borei Olam, I'm embarrassed to even say the story over. We're 2, he's 1, we're the majority. And al pi Hilchos Shutfim, we say that he has to go. So we agree with what you said, and based on what you said, we're taking him to college. He twisted the words of Rav Moshe. As you know, Rav Moshe thought many, many steps ahead, maybe 100 steps ahead. If you look in Shuvas and Nigos Moshe that were written years and years ago, you see things that are almost a prophecy to what's going to happen in today's generation. It's mind-boggling. He saw years and years ahead of what's going to happen in the Jewish community. And I don't know if it was from Ruach HaKodesh. I think a lot of it was just from Chokhmah. He had such a deep Chokhmah. He was able to analyze things so many steps further. And Moshe foresaw this answer. And he told him, I agree with you. But let's go back to the drawing table. Two of the partners also have partners. Meaning the father and mother also have partners. So now we got the father and mother that have partners in them, which God is a third partner in you and a third partner in your wife. And your son. Now do the math. 5/9 belongs to Hashem. 4/9 belongs to you. And your parents are not alive. So they have no say in the matter, and they're with Hashem. So if anything, that just strengthens the case. So your son has to go to yeshiva. And you said, you know the laws of Shutfi. And they conceded. And this child is one of the great poskim today. He doesn't want his name said over just out of respect for his parents. Because his parents, of course, later on became the biggest supporters of his learning. But he's one of the famous poskim that all of us use all the time. Moshe's pikhut to see how that. So that's the whole Yisod of Pesach is the idea of learning. Chazal teach us, "Amaratzim en lahem chaim lo ba'olam hazeh v'lo ba'olam haba." A person who's not learned, who doesn't know Torah, doesn't have a life, not in this world and not in the next world. In the next world, it's simple. Not that he doesn't go to Gan Eden. Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek l'olam haba. Now it's going to be Pirkei Avot season. I'm not even going down that road. Everybody's going to Olam haba, no problem. But if you go to a country that you don't speak the language, do you have anything to do there? No. What are we doing in Gan Eden? Atid HaKadosh Baruch Hu la'asot machol la'tzadikim. Hashem makes a circle for the tzadikim. We yoshev beinayim veGan Eden. And he sits in the midst of them. Why a circle? The Maharal writes, because if you put a square, so there's corners. Corners, one person could be further than the other symmetrically. A circle, everybody's sitting equally close to Hashem. No? And if that's the case, what does the Rebbeinu Shalom talk about? He teaches the tzadikim Torah. So if you know Torah, you speak the language, you have what to do there. If not, you don't go to Gehenna. There is no Gehenna. That is Gehenna. You sit bored all day. Hashem sits and teaches Torah. You don't know what he's talking about. What Torah are you going to know? Chazal told us in advance. Whatever you learned in this world, you're going to know there. And you'll understand that part of Hashem's sphere. What you didn't learn in this world, you're not going to know there. So Amaratzim en lahem chaim, they have no life over there. They have nothing to do. They're bored. They're as bored as could be. What's going to be with us? We don't know the whole Torah. So on that, the Chafetz Chaim already wrote, and the Goyen wrote it before him in the Agaot and Shulchan Aruch, and really it's sourced in the Rishonim, and there's a Tshuvas HaTashbetz, there's actually 6 in a row Tshuvas HaTashbetz is on this, that they say that those who don't learn Torah, we learn it from a Gemara, Nashim B'mai Zachyan, that if you support Torah or help Torah in any way, shape, or form, so the Torah that the other person learned, you know as well. I have an unbelievable Maaseh Rav with Maran Rav Shach Zitzar, Zchuto Yagen Aleinu, that I had an acquaintance, he was many, many years older than me. This was in 1995, who was an extremely wealthy Orthodox Jew back then. And I stressed back then, today it's more common, there's so many Orthodox Jews that are wealthy, but back then it was very rare. And he was one of the few. And he used to be a huge Machzik Torah. Huge Machzik Torah. To the point that there was a while that he used to support 800 Jewish institutions on a monthly basis. 800 Jewish institutions. Crazy numbers. And he went into Maran Rav Shach Zitzal, and how do I know? I was a young kid, but he had to get in. And I had an in every Wednesday by Rav Shach. So he used me to get into Rav Shach, and my condition was that I should be able to stay in the room, because I was curious what the discussion is going to be. And he told Rav Shach like this, that he has enough money that just from the capital gains, him and his children, his grandchildren forever and ever can live luxury lives. And he wants to stop working and stop making money and go learn in Kollel. Because why not? It's a waste of time, and learning is the most important thing. And who's more than Rav Shach? They used to stress the importance of learning day and night. That was his biggest fight in the world, was for learning. But there's a catch, that now he's supporting 800 yeshivot and whatever. If he's going to do that, his capital gains is not enough for that anymore. So he's going to have to cut back on his tzedakot by 85-90%. Now again, I stress, this is a psak for him, this doesn't mean it's for others. But I'm using this just to bring out a point. So he wants Rav Shach to tell him it's okay to stop working and to cut back on his charity, and to go to koil. He wants to learn full time in koil. And Rav Shach looked at him and said, okay, of course it's okay, it's your life, you can do whatever you want, and I'll be alocha to learn, I'm not going to tell you no. But if your cheshbon is your Gan Eden, you got it all wrong. He said, let's say you learn. Let's say you learn and Hashem gives you a long life and you have a clear mind till 120. And let's say you're a matmid atzum, you learn non-stop. How much are you going to learn? If you're lucky, you'll get through Bavli, Ushalmi, Sifra, Sifri, Mechilta, Midrashim. Right? That's in the best case scenario. So now he's supporting 800 yeshivot. He said, even if there's only 10 people in each yeshiva, which there's hundreds in some of them, but let's say there was only 10. You have 8,000 students learning 12 hours a day Torah. In Shamayim, you're going to know everything that they know. Which way do you think is going to buy you a better seat in Gan Eden? You're not allowed to stop working, you should work. This was Maran HaRosh Yeshiva Zitzal that spat blood literally, that fell ill when anybody tried to stop somebody from learning. His life revolved around learning, that he knew nothing in the world except for learning. That was his only agenda. He didn't care about a thing. What he cared about was learning, learning, learning. But you have to know when to say yeah and when to say no. Everything's an individual thing. So even for those of us who maybe aren't the greatest Talmid Chachamim, first of all, go learn. It's a good idea. And girls have to learn too. We said that many times. Because we don't believe in differentiating. So all the feminists could shut up for once and for all. And by us, everything's equal opportunity. Girls have to learn as well. Maybe a girl doesn't have the same chiyuv Talmud Torah that a man does. She has to learn her halachot. Okay. So finish learning Hilchot Shabbat, Nidah, Kashrut, Brachot, and Lashon Hara. Let's go on and on and on and on and on. Kids, you'll learn for 80 years, and then by then you're not here anymore anyway, so it's not applicable. Then we'll discuss the part of learning that a girl's not obligated in. But up to that point, everybody has to do. That's for sure. But anyway, we want a bigger chelik in Gan Eden. So that Achzakas Torah, when you help somebody else learn, and as a result he's learning, so the Goyen says, not only have a schus of a mitzvah, tzedakah, or something, in Shamayim you know his Torah. So that's the way we obtain the key of Torah, between learning ourselves first and foremost, and supporting Torah, which we all do, Baruch Hashem, in a generous way. So, fine, that's one key. It's an extremely important key that we should always do. Hashem didn't take Klal Yisrael out of Mitzrayim so they should sit and watch games. That wasn't why he did it. I got news for you. For that, they could have stayed in Egypt. There was one and only one purpose. That one day there'll be Matan Torah, and Am Yisrael will accept the Torah, and from there on they'll go with the Torah. To sit and eat matzah by the Seder, and not to be a learned person, you should do it anyway, because matzah is a mitzvah, but you're defeating the whole purpose. Matzah resembles, I'm willing to make sacrifices to study. Today, we're not willing to miss the gym to go learn. I once wanted to start a shiur here in Queens on Sundays at a certain hour. And I picked the hour not based, I should have asked the people first what works. I didn't do that. I did it based on what made sense to me with traffic. It was in the summer. And I messaged a whole bunch of guys. I said, no, you're going to come learn. We'll learn a few hours Gemara, 4 hours at least on a Sunday. And I got 2 answers back. I'm embarrassed. I'm literally embarrassed. But since then, Baruch Hashem, they all changed. But then they didn't understand it. Either it's the only day I'm home with my wife, so I have to be an Uber driver to take her to the malls. At least that we could say, ben al machaver, that I'm willing to at least hear a little bit. On the husband's part, I hear it completely. On the wife's part, I think it's silly because she just lost her key to Gan Eden. But whatever, okay, at least. And believe it or not, here are the other answers. I play basketball at that time. I go to the gym at that time. I go swimming at that time. I go to the beach at that time. What? I'm talking to you about learning 4 hours Gemara. You're talking to me about a basketball now? You got it all wrong. That's it. So my response was to them one thing. I said, I plead the fifth. I have nothing to say, except I can all tell you guys the way your Gan Eden's going to look. Go to Sports Authority, look at the basketball section, and you'll see exactly what they're going to give you in Gan Eden. You're going to sit near Avraham Avinu, one side Avraham Avinu, one side Yitzchak Avinu. You're going to be in the middle with a basketball. That's it. Or maybe with those dumbbells or whatever they're called. It's not stam that they call dumbbells those things that you lift. It's because you have to be a dumbbell to waste your life like this. Yeah, that's it. That's what you have to be. What does Chazal say? Malbeh basar, malbeh rima. Today we take pride. I have a six-pack. You gave more for the worms to eat. It's Chazal, it's not me. Malbeh basar, malbeh rima. What are you going to gain? That's what Chazal told you. No, you're going to give more for the worms to eat. Great. Big accomplishment in life. And yeah, that's the Yisod of Pesach. Pesach is not stam that we start Sfirat Omer, Chanaf, Matan Torah. It's a night that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at us by the Seder and says, which part of Torah are you taking upon yourself for the coming year? What are you going to do to learn more Torah this coming year? And it has nothing to do with what religious level, whatever you want to call it. I hate that term, but that's what people use, that you're on. I don't care what you do in your personal life. That's a separate subject. It's none of my business. That you'll talk to Hashem about one day. That still doesn't mean you shouldn't be a Talmid Chacham. Sit and learn. And maybe if you'll be a Talmid Chacham, that'll also change you. I have an acquaintance who, in the past 3 years he stopped, but until 3 years ago, a bunch of years in a row, no, until 5 years ago, sorry, a bunch of years in a row, he came with me to Israel for Lag BaOmer. He didn't keep anything. Wasn't a Shomer Torah mitzvot at all. Even Kippur, I don't know, maybe not. So what, Lag BaOmer? He liked Israel. He was an American Jew. He liked Israel. So to him it was a vacation. For me it was something holy. To him it was a vacation. Fine. But the fact that he wanted to go to Israel, that alone was worth it for me. Because you go 4 Amos in Eretz Yisrael, Pashtut and Chazal, they forgive your sins for that alone. So I figured, let him have a little washing machine, or walk a little bit in Israel. For that alone, it's good to bring him. He used to come with me every year. Unbelievable thing. One year we were on the flight, and we were sitting together, and he told me, it's been a bunch of years I already went with you to this rabbi. I don't even know his name. You want to tell me who's buried there in Miron that everybody's running to? I never purposely told him a word about Judaism because I knew that day our friendship's over. Some people you have to know what not to say because they're not ready for it yet. I had an opportunity. So I started learning with him. About Shem Bayochai, who he was, we learned the Gemarot, about the cave, the lighter stuff, the stories, about the day of his death from the Zohar, the fire that came down from heaven. People like this type of things, even, sounds interesting. And like this it went, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Normally we'd both go to sleep. Nobody's going to sleep. Nobody's going to sleep. At one point I was tired, I'll be honest with you. I told him maybe we should take a nap for a little bit. We'll continue afterwards. We're going to be together for a week now. He says, no, this is interesting. Don't stop. Let's go. We stopped in the middle because it was Shachris time, whatever. So I had to daven for a few minutes. I davened very quickly then because I felt this was Pikuach Nefesh. And almost the entire flight we spoke, things that revolved around Shem Bayochai and Torah and the Gadlut Torah, Torah Tanistal, Torah Tanigla, explaining him all the parts of Torah. I think it was the third day we were in Israel. Third or fourth day, I think it was the third day. We got back from Mebal Nesi Lula, Pesach Sheni. And in the car, on the way back from Tveria to Yerushalayim, to the hotel we were staying, he tells me, maybe in preparation for going up to that grave again, and he forgot already the name, we should learn a little bit of the Torah that this rabbi taught. Because I'm interested. It sounded interesting on the flight, the Torah and this and that. So I had a Tikkunei HaZohar with me. I told him when we get to the room, before we go to sleep, we're going to start learning. Here's a guy who's not a Mechalel Shabbat B'Faresya. And we're learning Tikkunei HaZohar. A normal person would say, crazy, right? Out of control. But that's the sefer I had with me then in preparation for Lag BaOmer, and so we started learning. He took interest. He came back to Brooklyn without me saying a word on his own. He hired a guy to teach him. The guy told him, what do you want to learn? He says, I don't know anything. But it has to be something that has to do with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. This guy was smarter than me. He went onto one of these softwares, Otzar Chochmah, I don't know, one of them, and he went and searched everywhere in the whole Bavli that it says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai's name. And he printed out all the papers of every Gemara that has to do with Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and there's a lot of them. And they started learning 2 nights a week, and this Koil guy was getting paid for this. He was paying a guy. They started learning. It started at the beginning, it was 20 minutes, then it became 40 minutes. At one point it was 2 hours, twice a week, not every night. Members of Shimon Bar Yochai and Chazal. This guy would come without a kippah, without tzitzis, didn't put on tefillin, didn't keep kosher. This Koil guy would call me many times. He'd say, I want to quit. I said, why do you want to quit? You're doing a mitzvah and getting paid for it. What could be better? He says, well, he comes with cheeseburgers to learn. I was like, it doesn't work. He says, it's out of control. He said, you warned me, you can't say anything. So I told him, don't worry. Just do what you got to do. He said, you have a psak halacha that's right? I said, yeah, I have a psak halacha that's right. So he said, where's the psak halacha from? I said, from Mori Rabbi Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Zechet Tzadik Levacha, the Rosh Yeshiva. They said, what did Rav Shlomo Zalman say? I said, when I was in yeshiva in Kol Torah, it was embarrassing, but it's true. I had a roommate. Then we rented an apartment. Yeshiva gave us dorms, but if you didn't get into the dorm, you rented an apartment, and it was also a nicer way to live. So we rented an apartment, and we used to split it between boys. I didn't have as much money as the others, so I didn't have enough for my own room. So we went in the apartment. I had a room, but with a roommate, so it was cheap. It was half the price. My roommate was a genius, is a genius, crazy genius. He used to sit and learn, Yomam Valayla, non-stop. Shabbat morning, he would sit on the porch of the apartment with a Gemara Masechet Yevamot, a Coke and a cigarette. On Shabbat, Chal Shabbat B'Faresya. And of course, they were going to throw him out of the yeshiva. Sugar, sit with a cigarette. And they went to Rav Shlomo Zalman Zitzel. This was Mamash B'Sof Yamav. And they said, should we throw him out? And he said, no. I said, what do you mean no? So first of all, to throw about a boy out of yeshiva is dinei nefashot. You need a bezdin of 23. We don't have a Sanhedrin. Today you can't throw a boy out of yeshiva. So if he's harming others, that's something else. He's a roidif. But he's not harming anybody. He's doing it in his own space. He's not preaching this. This is him. Says number two, Chazal clearly say, Ma'ol sheba machzireu l'mutav. The light of the Torah is going to turn him around. He's smarter than Chazal. So as long as he's learning, if he stops learning, that's a different story already. Yeshiva's not a hotel. But as long as he's learning, nobody should say a word to him. This psak, I was a young kid, much younger than this guy. It was a pellet to me, it was weird. Not because of Rav Shlomo Zalman, because of me, because I don't understand. Not only that, Rav Shlomo Zalman passed away right after this, a few months later. And then I stayed in the yeshiva for a few years, then I left. He was still in the yeshiva, then he left. But we kept in touch. I already got married, had kids. And this guy was still learning. He wasn't in the yeshiva anymore, but he was still learning nonstop. He used to send me, this was before the days that email was as common as today, in fax, his Chidushei Torah, the most complicated sugyot in the Shas. Brilliant Chidushei Torah. And once in a while I would ask him, no, you put on tefillin, you do anything? No. And then I used to feel, maybe Rav Shlomo Zalman was wrong. Look how many years. And once I asked, one of Rav Shlomo Zalman's sons who's also not alive anymore, Rav Shmuel Auerbach, Zechet Tzadik Levacha. I told him, Shmuel, your father said like this, and look, it's been so many years, what happened to Chazal's promise, Ma'ol Sheba? He said, Chazal doesn't say when the expiration date on it is. I think he said it's not a Danish that expires, something like that, or gets stale. I don't know, that's I think the example he gave me. Not a Danish, borekas, that's what he told me. It's not a borekas from Angela that gets stale after a day, that's what he told me. Those were his words. Tell you, Meisener, unbelievable thing. 23 almost years passed. And one day the gentleman called me up and told me I'm sick of being a hypocrite. I learn 10, 15 hours a day sometimes. I know Torah better than all the poskim know. And I don't keep a thing, and I spit in the face of all the intelligence that I know. I'm turning around 180 degrees. Just in Israel with all my friends and that, it's never going to happen. Find me a place in Europe or America that I could go live in a way that I should have money, just for the basics. I don't need anything. I need a mattress and bread and water that's good enough for me. I need a change. It's about a year ago, before Rosh Hashanah, a year and a half ago right now. And it's a Talmud Chacham. And he halavai that I should keep Torah mitzvot today the way he keeps it today. Halavai 5% would also be good. Because he knows so much that he knows every chumrah and every this and every. It's so crazy. So he's midagdek in halakha to such an extreme. That's ma'or sheba machzireu l'mutavs. Right? Chametz, says in the Zohar, resembles the Yetzer Hara. Matzah resembles the Yetzer Tov. Why? Because the Yetzer Hara brings you fluff. What's chametz? Dough that rose, fluff, hot air. Take a challah roll, squeeze it, you can make it into a tiny little ball, even though it's this big. That's the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara makes everything look lights, shining, exciting, fun. You're gonna miss this. How are you gonna miss this? This is fun. Everything's lights. You ever paid attention that in Manhattan and all the streets, well, maybe you don't go there hopefully, but if you have to go for business, everything's lit up at night in all different colorful lights. Ponovich Yeshiva doesn't have colorful lights on it, Chevron doesn't have colorful lights on it, Lakewood doesn't have colorful lights on it. Because we're matzah, we don't need to fluff things up. We have the truth and we stick with the truth and that's it. When you have nothing and you have to sell nothing, so you got to make it look exciting. Think about it. It's an unbelievable thing. In the world of Talmidei Chachamim, we're the worst marketers in the world. When Maran Rav Shach Zatzal used to speak by the Yachekala and Nisan, they didn't have advertisements. There was no WhatsApp messages going on, no emails being spread. It was before those days. There weren't even posters put up on the street because he didn't agree to it. Word of mouth, without phone calls, without nothing, just word of mouth. 15,000 people at least every year. Because the truth sells itself. You don't have to sell it. A lie, you have to blow up. You have to fluff. Lights, sirens, noise, hot air. Organizations, movements, foundations, change. Look at every president. They always find something they're going to run on. Great. Our president currently is the best example of that. Everything's the largest, the greatest, the biggest, the this, the... It doesn't have to be good things. We have the biggest opiate crisis, the biggest hurricane, the biggest flood, everything is the biggest, the largest. That's what you have to sell. The whole Pesach resembles the exact opposite extreme. Stop looking for the air that's not going to give you anything. Look for something real in life. Lamaisa, what do you have? What do you really have? The only thing a person really has is v'alach lefanecha tzidkecha. Is the mitzvot ma'asim tovim that a person has in his life. That's what he has. That's what he takes with him. And for that, so the ladies, and hopefully the men, because there's a big schus in this, contribute to helping for Pesach. Now, Rizal, it says clearly that it's the biggest kaparas avonos that there is. That when you clean out chametz, it resembles cleaning out your neshama, and it purifies your neshama to a high level. There were many tzaddikim and tzidkaniyot throughout the generations. Not that I'm advising this, today's a weak generation. We need cleaning help and goyot and whatever. But back in the day when they were a stronger generation, that a whole year they had goyot and everything that helped. And before Pesach, they would send them out. If anything, before Pesach, that's where you should keep them. So we're going to give a schus zikuch neshama to goya? No way. Dafka now, we're sending them out. Now we're a different generation. We need the more help to marry and halavai, then we should stay sane. But I have a friend who's a frum psychiatrist. He told me the amount of anti-anxiety medication he prescribes before Pesach. He says there's more matzah than they sell in the stores, he thinks. He says people take Judaism in an OCD way. They can't handle it. They don't know what to do. They panic. They pressure. Normally, we don't have a Beis Hamikdash for close to 2,000 years, Lo Aleinu. Hashem Shalom, we should have one before this Pesach already. So we don't have a Korban Pesach. So we put on the Ka'ara some sort of lamb shank or whatever, Zecher the Korban Pesach. But we do have a Korban Pesach today. The children. The mother 2 weeks before is stressed out, so it's the kid's fault now. So food at home, forget about. Go to the pizza shop. What is he learning there? Hashem Yirachem, that nobody thought about. But the main thing is Pesach. And she's always stressed out, so she's yelling at them and this and that, you don't help me. And then the Seder, instead of it being Vigadta libincha, that a father tells his son, what did it become because of a corrupt school system? That the kid comes home with a book and the father wants his nachas, so he tells him to tell me everything you have to say. The mitzvah is not ubincha higid lecha. It's vigadta libincha, that you should teach your son values, not vice versa. So we take a mitzvah d'oraita and destroy it on the night of the Seder. And why does all this happen? Not for negative reasons, for positive reasons. Because the Yetzer Hara knows that if we stay away from chametz and we do the Seder the right way, he's dead, it's over. The Pele Yoetz and the Yisod Shosh Avodah both bring down in different contexts, but they bring it down from way before. That if somebody keeps Pesach the right way for the whole Pesach, he's nizal michametz b'Pesach afilu b'mashu, so bevada he won't do any sin the upcoming year. Bevada he won't do any sin the upcoming year. If we did any sin this year, which I'm sure you're all tzaddikim, you didn't, but I did, that means that last year's Pesach wasn't 100%. The Yetzer Hara knows if you're going to keep Pesach the right way, he's a dead duck. So he's going to do anything to make it that it shouldn't come out right. And come out right is not how many aluminum foils you put on your counter. If you learn the halacha good, there's a lot of leniencies in a lot of these areas. People are busy covering the freezer to the point that it doesn't work anymore. From that, nothing comes out of it. Learn halacha, see what you have to do, what you don't have to do, and stick to that. Chametz on Pesach is the Yetzer Hara sneaking in on Pesach. It's by the Seder, 2 people fighting. A lot of families get together. Some siblings, Lo Aleinu, sadly don't get along. They sit by the Seder and they argue. So what'd you come for? Go to sleep. You defeated the whole purpose. The Seder, it's a night that we want to make better for Klal Yisrael, not worse. When Hashem sees the sons fighting, he cries. And now, what are you going to read? How are you going to read the Haggadah? Keneged arba'a banim dibrat Torah. Echad chacham ve'echad rasha. Two opposite extremes. And what does it say? The Torah is for everybody. We accept everybody equally. We love everybody equally. By Hashem, all Jews are the same. B'ni b'chori Yisrael asher ahavta. Hashem loves everybody. So you're smarter than the Rebbeinu Shalom. What are you doing? But that's not our fault. It's the Yitzhar also sneaking in. He always looks for a way to sneak in. So Chazal says compared to a fly. A fly comes, you push him away, he comes the other way. Push him again, it comes. You can fight with a fly an hour until you get rid of him. And even then, who knows? That's the Yitzhar Zuf. He doesn't stop. You throw him away this way, you keep kashrus the right way, he'll sneak in the back door, he'll get you angry, he'll get you to talk lashon hara by the seder, you get him away that way, he'll come some other door. No matter what, he'll always find a way in. And even though I stay far away from anything to do with controversial kashrus subjects, I want to openly say that on some of some of the shul's group chats, people posted different lists of different organizations, and I went through a lot of them, and there are items on those lists that are chametz gamur, not even tarovet chametz, and I don't know what they rely on or what ifkerus this is that each guy puts out a list based on nothing, and it wasn't agreed upon by me in any way, shape, and form. There was one list that I posted with my phone, exactly, that was approved by the rabbi of the shul, and that we spent a lot of time on agreeing. That's the only thing that has anything to do with me. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because today somebody sent me a picture of an item and said, we heard that you said this was okay to use on Pesach. I said, yeah, it's okay to give it to a goy. That's what it's okay to do, before Pesach. So, but it was on your list. I said, me? No. I have to be careful. It's not a joke. These are serious issues. It's to be nizar afilu b'mashu. And thank God, our list is not that fanatic, it happens to be, because we believe that the OU is the best and most reliable for Pesach. So anything that's an OUP, which is not part of its Passover, is a priority, not a second class. Hebrew letters already takes it down a step. And that's a very simple reason why. Because the OU has the largest amount of money and resources and labs and engineers and scientists, so they're able to lab test everything. Other people can't. Now, there are details that we disagree with the OU on when it comes to shechita of meat and when it comes to matzah. We have our disagreements with them, and we clearly stress that. But in general, products, they're unbelievable. They're amazing. And I'm not here to promote the OU. I don't belong to them. I never belonged to them. I have no interest in this in any way, shape, or form. On the contrary, the congregants of 2 out of 3 of my shuls in Lakewood wouldn't trust the OU to bring them into their house. They want to kill me when I put this out and say this. They threaten me with the job, with this, that. The beauty is I don't get paid, so fire me. What are you going to fire? Somebody who doesn't get a salary? Great, go right ahead. But yeah, you have to know. There's a chokhmah. There's not a joke that everybody says his agenda. It's not a politics. We turn kashrus into politics. It's a matter of a chokhmah. You have to know the wisdom. You have to know the facts. You have to know what's in everything. For example, I'll give you a crazy example. It used to be that we all assumed water. What could be wrong with water, right? You buy a bottle of water, it's kosher Pesach, period. Today, that changed. Almost all the bottles of water, except for a few old-fashioned companies and very specific items, infuse their water with either electrolytes or other things. Do you know that many of those processes are regular chametz? So here you have water, you have an issue of chametz. And that's why even water had to be added onto lists this year. Especially all these waters that have a good action during the year. pH this, pH that, all of those, straight across the board. Look at what they put into it. Then go Google the ingredients, understand the process, learn the whole thing, speak to a scientist, a chemist, and he'll explain you. Not as simple anymore. Blumenkranz and his kids, whatever, in their book now that they continue the heritage of their father, have a clear list which ones are a problem, which ones aren't, and they did the most thorough research on this. The OU themselves clearly write on their sites and in other places, unless we certify it for Passover, don't trust it, even though it's an innocent product like water. And I purposely picked such an extreme example to show you how easy it is for the Yitzhar to fool you on Pesach. And it's worth. Oh yeah, we have a big Yitzhar, right? He gives us a hard time every day. It's worth sacrificing a few days of trying harder and doing it right, and in return for that, to be sin-free for the rest of the year. It's worth it. It's kedai. Think about it. Do the mathematics. What's worth it for you to do? Just that alone is kedai. Because I ran out of time, so I'm going to add on just in one sentence the second thing. The second thing we really touched upon, but we want to emphasize it. And that's Achdus. We start counting Sfirat HaOmer. It's going to be before our first Shir. We're going to talk about Sfirat HaOmer. We never during the Shir, but after Pesach. But now, being that it's the first day, the second day of Pesach, we start counting. The whole Sfirat HaOmer and Talmidei Rabbi Akiva and everything that happened there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see Pesach that's a Pesach of unity. And by the way, it's known there's a minhag by many of the Hasidim that they don't eat in other houses on Pesach. They only eat by themselves. In the shul I daven in, as a Hasidic shul, not one person would even go to his brother's house for a meal. They don't mish. It's a chumrah, whatever, they have this thing. Agree, don't agree, doesn't make a difference, but we respect all. On the last day of Pesach, Achron Shel Pesach, being that it's the Rabbanan, not a Doraita in Chutz La'aretz, in Israel there's no such thing as Achron Shel Pesach, then they do. If you look in the Rav Yisrael from Abta and many other tzaddikim, they talk about the power of prayer the last day of Pesach. The power of prayer the last day of Pesach. We just spoke about the Seder, maybe Shvi Shel Pesach, other things. But the last day, what's that? So they were all mechaven, many tzaddikim, to the same idea. That during Pesach, on one hand, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has big nachas. Klal Yisrael keeps and does, and the machmeh, and they work hard and spend a lot of money, and this, for a mitzvah. Unbelievable. On the other hand, he also has tzar, that Jews aren't by each other. These are Hasidic rabbis that write this, because they have that custom. On the last day, when everybody goes to each other, so then Hashem has nachas again. No, Klal Yisrael is unified again. They're back together with each other. And that nachat that there is in Shamayim brings down a power to the world, a shefa, that prayers are accepted even when otherwise they wouldn't. They slide through. So it's an unbelievable thing that a person should pre-program his brain before Pesach. 8 days, no fights. It's not easy, by the way. It sounds easy. Big deal, 8 days. Try it. Let's find out. Maybe take a journal. You're not allowed to write on Chol Hamoed, sorry. I don't know, take voice notes that you're allowed to do on Chol Hamoed. How it's working out. 8 days, no, I'm not fighting with my brother, with my sister, with my mother, with my father, with my son, with my daughter. There's no arguing. Now it's Achdus time. We're getting along. What's going to be after Pesach, Hashem Yazo. But you know what it does in Shamayim? You know what power that has in Shamayim? That's more than all the Shir HaShirims and Perek Shiras that you'll read your whole life. Hashem sees his kids sacrificing, and this is the time of the year that all disasters could happen. And be smart about it. Don't get into the situation and then look for a way out. Prevent the situation in advance. There are a lot of things that have to be addressed. For example, if you're having guests, they're going to come to you Erev Pesach and they're going to bring you platters. Those platters come from stores. God knows what's going on in those stores. God's the only one who knows, because the store owner definitely won't tell you. Unless it's a hechsher that we know 100% is reliable and there's a mashgiach there all the time, and then, doesn't fly. Now what are you going to do? It's after the Zman of Bir Chometz also, so even that doesn't help. Be smart about it. Call your guests a few days before, say nothing personal, it's our custom that we don't take outside food on Pesach. In the most gentle, loving, nice way. That's it. You solved the problem. And if you want to wrap it even nicer, say we feel bad, you should spend money, we won't feel comfortable with it. There's no way we can accept anything on Pesach. Save yourself a headache. Unbelievable thing. Simple thing. Don't go to somebody's house who doesn't keep kashrus the way you do and then not eat. You're going to start a fight. So don't go in the first place. Say you're sick, I don't know, make up a story. And if you have to because whatever situation you don't want to eat something, say you're allergic, the doctor doesn't let you eat it. How do you know that's muta al pi halacha? It's not a lie. The Rambam writes that he's a doctor and he wrote a sefer called Yad HaChazakah, the Rambam, Mishneh Torah of the Rambam, with Hilchot Kashrut, and the doctor says you're not allowed to eat it. It's not a lie. It solves so many problems. Doctor said, can't eat it. Problem solved. I have non-religious Israeli friends that I'm in business with. I used this excuse already for 5 years straight with them, or 3 years straight, I don't remember how many years, a bunch of years straight with them. And one day one of the guys told the other guy, he didn't see that I was in the room and I heard it. He said, he feels so bad for Yaakov. Poor guy must be so sick. He can't eat anything. He's allergic to this, allergic to that, allergic to that. He can't eat anything. I can never invite them to my house because then they'll see in my house all the things that I'm officially allergic to. Whatever. The Rambam says that's the Eitzah. Be smart. Prevent situations in advance. Think, what are the things that caused me friction last year? How am I diffusing them in advance this year? And diffuse all those issues in advance. You'll have a much easier time. The Yitzhak won't be able to. When Hashem sees that you made a decision, made a ishtadlus, even if on the way it fell, it didn't work out so well, the Yitzhak did win. But just the fact that you wanted to, and Shemayim says if you succeeded. So you were a success right off the bat. That brings you big, big Yeshuas and big good things and big ashpahs from Shemayim in the best way. Hashem should help. We should have a happy and kosher Pesach. Mikol HaBchinot, B'ruchaniut u'B'gashmiut. And especially HaKoras HaToif to everybody who helped out. Baruch Hashem. We did amazing things this week. Tonight we're on the grand finale of amazing things. And the schus of all the Torah that you guys support. You have no idea how many hundreds of times you studied Shas and Shamayim just in the past month alone. You have no idea how many hundreds of times. And that schut should stand for all of us, Be'ez Hashem, that we should be zocheh lekabel pnei Mashiach tzidkeinu b'meirat v'yameinu, amen v'amen.